Yo, what's the deal, folks? It's your man Eeze. Hope everybody out there is doing well. Before we go any further, I'm asking you all out there to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit the notification bell, all right? Today, today we are discussing Nostradamus, the album released by Nas well over 20 years ago. And we're going to discuss, or I'm going to make a point as to why I believe, and many others out there feel the same way I do, why I believe that the critics and the haters and whomever else aligns with that line of thinking got it wrong. I'm going to explain, or we're going to speak on why I feel as though the critics and everyone else got it wrong. All right. As you're watching this video, also leave some comments below, and I'll be sure to engage and reply to the comments. All right. So, in typical fashion, I typically, when I speak on things, I like to make my case. So, in doing so, you got to come with evidence, right? So, we're just going to do like a quick presentation regarding the album Nostradamus, and now let's get the discussion started. Here we go. So as you can see, this is a quick backstory. If you're a fan, you're well aware of all these things. The album released when? November 23rd, 1999. It was the follow-up to his third LP entitled I Am. Um, the album Nostradamus was pretty much recorded and prepared or created because I Am was initially supposed to be a double album called I Am the Autobiography. It was bootlegged very heavily, causing Nas to create new material. At that time, just to give you a sense of where we were in November of 1999, the chart toppers were Smooth. That was a number one single by Santana featuring Rob Thomas of Matchbox, right? I think that was the name of the group, Matchbox. Back at One, Brian McKnight, which is an R&B classic, was number two on the charts. And on the same day that Nas released Nostradamus, Santana released the smash hit Maria Maria. I know you all know that. All right, so now that we have some backstory, let's get into the production credits. He worked with Dame Grease, LES, who's a frequent collaborator, Havoc of Mobb Deep, Rich Nice, DJ Premier, Timbaland. For those who are unfamiliar with Dame Grease, some hits that he's done. If you just go back to DMX's initial album, first album was Dark and Hell is Hot. He did what? Get At Me, Dog. Ends and Started Something. He also did what's the name of that joint? Rockefeller Billionaires for Freeway, featuring Jay-Z and a host of others, man. LES, we've spoken about him countless times. Him and Nas have a dope chemistry. You got songs like Life's a Bee and You Gotta Love It. The list goes on and on. A bunch of joints on the Lost Tapes, Streets Disciple. They've been working together for quite some time. They worked together for quite some time. Havoc of Mobb Deep, we all know who he is. Rich Nice, DJ Premier, and Timbaland. And that pretty much solidifies the producers on that album. So let's get into the first point of proving why the critics and haters got it incorrect. Misconceptions. Let's start there. First off, you always hear how Nas was chasing the sound. My question is, what exactly does that mean? Was it commercial based? What do you mean he was chasing the sound? Are you referring to the first single, Nostradamus? Well, would you say the same thing about EPMD, who sampled the same record with Let the Funk Flow? And we all know Nas is a huge EPMD fan. He's spoken about it countless times, and they were just on his latest album, King's Disease 2. So knowing him, can't get into his mind, but he pays homage to a lot of the pioneers and forefathers. And sampling that record, if you didn't have any history of hip hop, it sounded like some futuristic song that's being utilized to try to chase the sound. But nah, that's a sample from the 70s. You know what I'm saying? LES did his thing with that. And he was spitting on that. I need an encore, y'all. You should welcome me back. You want the ball till you fall. I can help you with that. Like, he was, listen to the songs, man. Get out your feelings and let's be realistic and speak facts. Number two, it wasn't Illmatic. That's another misconception. which is the truth. But when I speak on misconceptions, it's the fact that people, as we stated before, don't believe in evolution. With him in particular, other artists can evolve and do whatever they want to do. For whatever reason, when you come out the gate with a classic, a life changing, music changing, not just hip hop, music changing classic, people tend to want you to repeat that same process over and over. And if he was to really lock in with that train of thought, he would no longer be an artist. He would just be your robot. So no, it wasn't Illmatic. It was Nostradamus. He moved on. It was his fourth album. Whack beats. You hear that a lot. And did you really listen? Because some of the beats, although if you listen to it now, it may sound dated, but you have to keep in mind that at that time, that's what was going on. And I have some critiques that I speak about later on regarding some of the production. But overall, at that time, that's where music was. And he wasn't chasing the sound. That's just what they were doing. Like back in the 70s, synthesizers came into the game heavy, late 70s, early 80s. That's what people were doing. In hindsight, some people may like live bass better, but that doesn't mean that the records that were made then aren't good. You have to keep in mind. We never said it was a classic, but a lot of you overreacted and you hate it so much to where you didn't allow yourself to experience the music. And that's a big no-no. Nas fell off. Number 4 is a misconception. First of all, let's not forget that I Am, as I stated before in a previous slide, or 2 previous slides, came out the same year. So you mean to tell me a dude that recorded Nas's Light and gave you New York State of Mind, Part 2, a bunch of records on I Am. Like, I can go on and on, right? But this is not what this is about. But you have to keep in mind, how could he fall off less than 6 months later? That don't even make sense. So he gave you Nas's Light in 1999 off his 3rd album. His 4th album comes out, and y'all saying he fell off? Come on, man. Think about that for a minute. Just think about that. What other artists will garner that type of criticism that he gives you classics of I Am? You Won't See Me Tonight. A lot of people won't like that, but if you listen to it now, it aged very well. Always Survive. A bunch of joints. He gave you all of that. And 6 months later, you're saying he fell off. Okay. Number 5, it flopped. The album went platinum. It sold 230 plus albums in its first week. That's a flop? I thought platinum was the standard. It reached the barometer, right? It reached that threshold. So now the rules change. I get it because it's him. The critics got it wrong. We have to really start thinking about this. I'm not just talking. I'm giving you factual evidence. It's right here in living color. Got the slides right here. Lastly, You Owe Me was trash. And most of the time it's fellas speaking on that. And I hate to, how can I say it? The record wasn't for you. It was for the ladies. I've been to Nas, maybe 2 Nas concerts, right? Radio City, New Year's, and the Barclays. Anytime that You Owe Me comes on, it shakes the room. Females love that song. They love that song. So for people to be upset that he did that, once again, goes along with the line of thinking that you wanted him to still have on his army fatigue suit with his beanie or his face mask, whatever, Tim's, sitting on benches in the projects, rhyming about things that he has moved on from. It's evolution, man. Evolution. Let's go to the next slide. Now, a lot of you probably saying, oh, he's a fanboy. He doesn't, he's not being realistic. He's not speaking facts because he's such a Nas fan. I do believe Nas is the GOAT. But I never said he was exempt from ridicule. I have some constructive critiques regarding the album. We spoke about beats, right? Me personally, some of the presets used by producers didn't age well. Like on Dame Grease, God Love Us. That bass that they use, slap bass, it drives me insane. I'm not a big fan of that. Or the bells that we're using, it sounds like that time. The keyboard sounds have evolved today, like the Chord Chronos and a host of different VSTs and stuff like that. The slap bass or the bells don't sound the same as they did in 1999. Sometimes you have vintage keyboards, and you have some keyboards that are no longer used because the sounds aren't great. So that's a critique that I have, but that's something minor. That's minute. I just didn't like some of the presets used by some of the producers, right? Also, there's a bad 3-song stretch that could have been changed with different sequencing. When I refer to sequencing, I'm talking about the order of songs. That's it. So if you just would have moved this song here and put it there and put this one here and put that one there, it could have took away from that experience of that 3-song stretch, which I'm referring to as what songs? The God Love Us, Quiet Ends, and Big Girl. Now, I spoke on God Love Us, why I wasn't a big fan of that because of the presets and the bells, but that's small. That's small. It's nothing to really call an album a flop because it's something that's small, right? Never said it was a classic, but it's not as bad as people say it is. Quiet Ends seem like a stretch, right? It sounds more like a DMX song, something that he would do. You know what I'm saying? Even the hook, the beat sounds like, but at that time he was running rap pretty much, right? So you producers come with different sounds, and Dame Grease is a producer of DMX's, and he started working with Nas. He probably came with this beat. It sounds like something that was more aligned with an X sound. All right, but it happens. It happens. Big Girl. A lot of people like this record. I'm speaking on me personally. I'm not a big fan of the record because I don't like the flow. I don't like that double time flow. That didn't age well. Most records that I hear and I listen back to it to this day, I'm like, I don't like that. That's that sped up flow. Like, if anyone out there is unfamiliar with it, did that a lot in like the late 90s and early 2000s. I was never a big fan of that flow, even at that time. You know what I'm saying? So those are some constructive critiques regarding the album. And also, before we wrap it up, I just want to read this quote here because I spoke on having a mind of your own regarding music and a host of other things. And you notice I put life lesson at the top because this can be applied to many different avenues. We have to learn to experience things and stop going off what other people are saying, because you will miss out on a ton of things in life if everything or decision you make is based off someone else's commentary. And I think that's what happens with Nostradamus, this album. A lot of people started going off what critics stated as opposed to listening to the music. You can't talk music if you ain't listening to it, man. So I'm going to read this quote from a former Vibe writer. I'm not sure if he's still there, by the name of Julian Kimball, regarding Nostradamus. This was penned. What I found is that many peers and people I've engaged in random music discussions about Nostradamus listen to reviews, the negative ones especially, of the album and the opinions of others, not the actual album, or took Jay-Z's indictment of half of Nas' early post-Illmatic works on Takeover as the Holy Grail. In some cases, I've even played select cuts for people who previously lambasted it, only for them to acknowledge that they aren't terrible. It's a sad lesson on groupthink, as well as how music criticism makes some believe they don't have to think for themselves. End quote. I think this quote sums the entire Nostradamus or many other Nas albums or releases up completely. People are not listening to the music, or their favorite artists are saying things in the heat of a battle, and you're taking it as law. But when your favorite artist drops albums like Magna Carta, which is probably worse than Nostradamus, you don't say anything. And that's why I was very keen on stating that, why I feel like the critics and the haters got it wrong, because it's okay to be a critic and give constructive criticism and be totally transparent and feel as though what you state is truth with evidence. But when you're a hater and those same rules don't apply to everyone, your opinion doesn't matter, man. And that's the God's honest truth. That's the way I feel. So, as far as this album goes, I think it's important, and I think that it's imperative that you give yourself an opportunity to go listen to the music again. Go listen to the music. I gave you some slides there. All these misconceptions, man. It's not Illmatic, it flopped. You Owe Me was trash. And the list goes on. He was chasing the sound. He had whack beats. Once again, I must reiterate. I never said it was a classic, but it is not as bad as people make it to be. In the future, I may even do a video on some of the albums that are worse than this one from other artists that no one speaks on. And that just goes to show you how great Nas is. That just goes to show you how great he is. His good albums are better than some people's best albums. But when you're a pioneer in an avenue or any different lane, you rarely get the credit, but you also get most of the criticism. And I think that's what he faces, man. For whatever reason, I don't even think it bothers him. I think it bothers his fans more because we know what's up, man. We listen to the music. We live with it. And I just thought it was imperative that we speak on Nostradamus because this album isn't as bad as people make it out to be. And I just want you to go out there and listen to it again. All right? Take some time with it. And if you find some things you don't know, if you disagree with me, leave a comment below. Let's have a discussion about it. That's what mature people do, right? Discourse. I learn from you. You learn from me. And we keep this hip hop thing going, man. So don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Also, if you like to donate, top left-hand corner, I believe it's top left-hand corner, there'll be a graphic for the Cash App. Donate to the channel. Trying to evolve things, step the equipment game up. Come along with the journey, man, because we're trying to turn it up out here. Keep this hip-hop thing alive. Spread the knowledge. Each one teach one is the motto. It is your man, Eeze. Go get yours. No limitations out here. Go get yours. And just in case y'all forgot, Nas is the GOAT. Enjoy your day.